Welcome to our weekly Friday Talk and Tour series when we share the opportunity to visit the studios of our wonderful artists and hear about their works and inspiration. These visits are brought to you by the Duncan McClellan Gallery and the DMG School Project of St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you for joining us.
So thank you everyone for waiting and welcome. It's nice to see everybody. So I'm going to do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit better view. And we're good. Can you guys hear me? Obviously. Yeah. Woohoo.
All right.
So,
Okay. So where are we at? You're about to run the video, if I'm correct. Is that right, Mary?
that's where we're going to start, but if you would like to take us through your studio, which was your original plan, we can do that,
Okay.
whichever you prefer.
Sure, I would be happy to do that. Yeah, I won't take up too much time, but now that I have this kind of working and set up, I can turn the camera around, and I'll kind of go back to the corner out here. This is Grisdale's. This is I've been here for 14 years. It's an industrial complex, but I got a pretty yard out in front of me, and yeah, so I like to spend some time out there in the summer. And that we come in here. And we got a wall of, an article of Paull. And in 2015, I had a piece go to the Queen. So that was really cool. I have a piece in Windsor Castle there. And as you kind of turn around and walk in, you can see it's not a big gallery, but, I do the best with it. I do have studio tours here and always invite the public in. And so I'll just kind of give you a little 360 here. There's some old pieces in here that I have that, yes, I did make, even though they look different than some of my other things. I do a lot of seasonal pieces. So here are some little zombie pumpkins that I do, and such like that. There's some wall-mounted pieces and stuff. So this is my gallery. I've been very excited for the Zoom meetings, so bear with me if I'm a little ambitious. These are some new pieces that I just created over here for this Zoom talk. This one came out of the kiln today. It's actually probably still warm. It is, just a little bit.
And we will be seeing images of these pieces again, so just so everybody knows.
Yeah. So, as I come through the door, I got a little bit of an office-y area right here. This is the captain's chair. Just read for a little bit of flash and that. I like to keep a pretty clean shop. And Duncan, I have to apologize. I wanted to put my bare feet on because I know you wear bare feet in your hot shop sometimes. And if we wouldn't have had the hiccup getting started, I would have loved to have done that to honor you there. So, of course, over here, my main furnace, it's, 20,000 or 2,000, 100 degrees roughly. This is Goliath. My furnace has a name. So long time ago, I carved my handle in a snowstorm here because I had to babysit the furnace. But ironically, Goliath only has one eye. So, and so this is where everything that you'll see in the front today has been made. Some days we're a few people in here. Some days I'm by myself. I wish we had that team collective experience that America has quite often, and you see many shops like the DMG with teams of people that work together. But I find here up in Canada, a lot of artists like to, they're all focused on their own career. So you can see here into my cold shop. This is works that sort of made it or didn't make it or in the process of making it. I do a lot of teaching. So, this is some student work from last weekend. We still got to get ready. They're bugging me to come pick them up. Everybody's always excited about that. It was really interesting during COVID. teach a class like that. So this is the color bar I use quite often. You know, for all my pieces, I use transparent colors, so all my color bars look black. And I always find it strange. Sometimes I mistake the colors for another because they are all black like that. So yeah, this is where we are. You know, today's a nice easy day. Been just kind of amping up for this, and I'm happy to see everybody. And I was, you know, would love to answer any questions or you know, if anybody has some. So I'm going to sit back. Yep.
Paul, where are you exactly?
I'm located in Hamilton, Ontario. So being the, okay, here we go, hold on. I'm in Hamilton, Ontario. So I'm about half an hour to 40 minutes away from Toronto. So just west of the city of Toronto. So I've had many shops in my career. Well, you know, I worked out of a few cooperatives and stuff like that. So my first shop was in Toronto, and I lived there. Then Mississauga, the adjacent town, and then I worked at another place, which was a cooperative called Glen Williams Glass. And then eventually I was able to find myself in my own studio about 14 years ago. So I'm still pursuing it. I'm still doing okay. COVID has been tough, but we worked through that. I think everybody's working through it, and it's a new normal out there, and it's going to be this way for a while. So this might not be the first meeting we have like this.
Well, during this time, you've prepared this really fun video. So why don't we show our audience what you've done with that?
Yes, I'd love that. It was really fun to make this, actually. And this video is a bunch of down to blow here.
recycling. So that's like recycling. You have to go this way.
To get the drill done.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh, thanks, you guys. Yeah, that's So we're right into the slides. Okay, this is me back before glass blowing, living out west, and I got into glass out of curiosity. I had been traveling around in my Volkswagen van, and I'm from Ontario originally, but I saw a video. I saw a Dale Chihuly video actually, and was blown away by it. And I found, well, my mom sent out the catalog for Sheridan College, which is a very popular glassblowing school in Canada and in the US. I applied to school blindly because I saw you can go to a school for glassblowing, and I've never really looked back from my first gather. I sold my very first piece. It was a paperweight I polished up to my neighbor, and I went back a few years later and asked him if I could trade him back. So I made him a beautiful centerpiece to get my little tiny paperweight back in the day. So here I am, you know, still with the long hair. Well, no short hair in one of them, coming up through the years, and I fell in love with the eclipsing windows of glass with just raw color, using the jewel tones. And yet the thickness of the glass, my pieces are a bit heavier than the most, but it really lends itself to the refractive light of the glass. So this was a significant piece. I started carving the tops. So that's okay. And then I got into, I had a couple, you know, epiphany pieces that really struck me, and I figured, well, I fell in love with those, and I figured I better keep going. Yeah, you know, so for the longest time, I punnied these up, but you can see in the bottom left here, I started to change the forms a little bit. I wanted wilder forms, something that lended itself a little bit more to the traditional sort of teardrop shape, which is a beautiful shape, of course, but I wanted something wilder where it could pull these crazy tips out and make the glass a bit more alive with the colors, so they fit together a bit more as a piece. So again, some more of the pieces. I don't work, these are different. I don't work in the greens too much, but you know, these are some great pieces that worked out back then, and I still get asked to make some pieces like that, which I always do, of course, but yeah. And here we are again. The piece on the right again was one of those magic pieces where I was really, it solidifies what I'm doing. The quality of the light and the transparency through it, and the way the color bounces around is amazing in that. So, you know, I'm still making those pieces today. In 2006, I found myself here after my cooperative studio days. It's quite daunting to take on a full hot shop by yourself. There's lots of bills to be paid, but here I am 14 years later, and still plugging away at it. So this is a great project. It was at the Power Stream building, and these are all sort of representative of like the insulators off of old telephone poles. There's 180 pieces, I think, altogether. I did this with a glass architect who made the designs, and then I blew all the glass for it. So that was a fantastic project. I wish I was always working on those. My pieces lend themselves as well to opening up platters. So, you know, here I go, you get a different perspective of them. A lot of these I wall mount. Sometimes I put them in stands. These stands are a bit older. My stands now are a bit fresher and stuff. So, yeah. And again, these two pieces kind of just show you the eclipsing windows of light. What I look for is these refractory colors of the mauve, the purple that is in the piece on the left. You can't get that in a color bar or use it. The diffusion of the way the light travels through it. If you look on the piece on the right, there's a hot spot right in the middle where the lines bend. They don't match up because of the refractive you know, light going through the glass and the thickness of them. So those are the tension points that I love about my pieces. So here's some yellows and greens. The pieces on the left are frosted, so you know, still doing that same idea of the eclipsing windows, but the subtlety of you know, lemon and lime and just the softness of it. And then the pieces on the right are pulled at both ends. Something I love to do, but it's a tricky process. You know, I still work at it, and these are kind of like dinosaurs or little grouping of like that, or birds. Some people think them as well. So same idea, just a larger grouping of them. You know, dinosaurs. So yeah, and then of course wall mounted, same idea. These are very large pieces. They're the largest of my ability to make them. So the middle one I think is about 40 inches long. So they do take up quite a bit of space. You know, the side ones are probably in their 30s, and then they diffuse out size-wise towards the ends. So
And
I
how
just
would
love
those,
how. Pardon?
sorry, how would those be mounted to the wall, Paul?
There's a bracket gets glued to the back of them, and it's like a tongue and groove. It's, Hang My Glass has some awesome products, and I also have a machine shop here beside me. If I had more time to show you, he does some awesome things as well. But I get him to machine my my brackets for my wall pieces that you'll see in a few minutes, or you saw in my little walkthrough. My neighbor makes all those brackets, and that's how we fasten them on. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Again, this is another project with the glass architect that Gordon. He's unfortunately he's passed on now, which is too bad. I would have liked to have done more of these with him. But you know, again, the idea of this one is at a community center. And he wanted every plate to be different. So if you kind of look up or gaze up at them, no plate is different. So the idea at a community center is that all the different communities come in, all the different people, they all hang out as one. And that was sort of the theme for this project. I think there's about 40 to 60 plates. I can't remember exactly, but that would have been about 2010 or 11 maybe. So, my pastimes and my hobbies, of course, you know, I still love to play hockey, although it's been tough with COVID. You know, I played in some bands. I love playing music. I love to cook and fish. And you can see in the middle picture, I love playing old time music. I love some old Hank Williams, you know, Lefty Frizzell. So I'm not here, I don't always rock out on my guitar. I like the historical values of old music from the 50s and 60s and stuff. So when I jam, it's you know, a lot of my jamming friends are 15, 20 years older than me and stuff, and I kind of get schooled. So I don't mind that, you know, song. It's great to be able to share songs with people. And I almost thought of playing guitar for you, but
Next
probably
time.
go to next time, maybe. So, and So these are, this is, you know, another one of those pieces that just highlights the tension points. That's what I shoot for. This is 5 different assemblies or pickups, or some people want to call them encalmos or montages. You know, it doesn't really necessarily matter what technical term you do it. It's 5 different pickups that are joined together, and I form these pieces of it. And then these highlighting windows where the main colors overlap is where my passion is. Sometimes I control the colors to be a little bit more tartan-like, and then other times I just go for opposite ends of the jewel tones and see what I get. So,
Paul, can you explain the encalmo process to everyone, and explain how hard it is to do 5 colors?
So what that means is when I do an encalmo, I'm joining one piece of hot glass to another. When I say that I have 5 different components in here, I've picked up 5 different pieces of color, individual starts, and you know, I don't get it. It takes a long time for people to hold them if you do it traditionally. I put them in a kiln, and then when the time comes, I pick them back up again and join them. So I'll start with one of the middle colors, and I'll join a shouldering color, and then I'll join the bottom color, transfer it over to the punty, and then finish picking up the remaining colors. So together I get these giant eggs. You would have seen it in the video, because I have that piece behind me. Everything in the video has been made in the last 2 weeks, so you'll see those shortly when I focus on them a bit more. But yeah, so encalmo means to weld one body of glass to another. In this case, I've got 5 different welds with 4 different colors. So, you know, I love dragons, and the historical value of, I sometimes design pieces to practice a little bit with. So I made these dragons for a little while, and I wanted them to be marketable. So yeah, you know, I have to do that often. So I put hooks on them and I hung them for a while. Now the snowmen on the right are still pretty dominantly one of my signature pieces that I make at winter time. Last year, I think I made about 300 to 400 of them. I've made as many as 600 at a Christmas. This year, and probably with COVID, I might be down a little bit. I'll probably make 200 or so, 200 to 300, but they're very popular. They're 7 inches tall, solid glass, but you know, they're very jolly. I want them to be, when you look at those things, you can't help but smile. And that's what I shoot for. You know, Christmas is, or the holidays is a good time of the year for everybody to celebrate, and what better than a snowman. Mind you, down in Florida, I don't think you can build too many of those. So again, you know, some of these pieces, I diffuse, when I make these, I diffuse the glass. If you look at the piece on the left, the purple that's darker on the left-hand side with the window in it, I do that on purpose. That's just not the way the color blows out. So I shaped my color bar, which I showed you in the tour, a little bit different than traditionally. So you get these diffusions of the color as they eclipse and overlap. So when I make my pieces, there's 2 things going on here. The piece on the left, I've assembled my colors and I twist them. And that's how I get the lines to move and overlap like that. The piece on the right, I have not twisted. And equally, they both have their place. So I love both of them, because the one on the right is a little more like horizon lines, sunset. You know, the way the color just diffuses through the piece. And then the piece on the left is a lot more alive. The tension points are there. The refractive quality is doing the light. It's the exact same color in both pieces. So you know, when I make these, I have, I still say I have a lifetime of work to do with these, because there's so many options to do. I actually want to reticello my pieces the way they are in the left, and then see. So I don't know if anybody's ever reticelloed in Calmos before, but I really want to try and spend some time doing that and see what happens. So,
Paul, we have a question from
yeah.
one of our clients, Joni. She's
Hi, Joni.
Yeah. She's curious to know how the cost of fuel for the shop in Canada compares to the US.
Well, I'm not sure, like, you know, the fuel comes in by a per square footage. I know with my hot shop, I've got 1 to 2 burners running every day. So I pay about $1,000 a month, roughly. If I have busier months, it goes up to about $1,200. I don't really try to turn my furnace off too often, only when there's maintenance that is required. So that my main furnace stays on 24/7. If it wouldn't have been for COVID, I wouldn't have turned it off since Christmas 2018.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm due to change the crucible out of it, but I've learned how to milk them pretty good. And yeah, so I'm hoping I make it until January, and then I'll be able to change it after the Christmas or holiday season. So yeah. And of course, these are tall figures. All of these are probably 30 plus inches minus the one on the left. It's just a really beautiful piece. But, you know, and the one sort of second to the left, of course, it's not twisted, but then the other ones are. So again, you get those same dynamics, the diffusion of the glass. Some don't like busy pieces, and they love just the subtleties of the overlapping colors, whereas other people like the tension points and the excitement of them. So I still pursue these pieces, and I love making them when I can. Yeah, you know. So I do a lot of these paperweights. These are all the pieces and the colorful things that you see in there are recycled glass. You know, as I blow glass throughout the week, I've been doing these line pieces lately. I have all these extra components that I can't bring myself to throw out. So what I do is I hoard them, and then I put them in the kiln, and I pick them up, and I make these paperweight inclusions. They look like aquariums. I've been doing these for a long time. They're wonderful gifts. The Law Association here in Hamilton, they always buy you know, every couple months they come and get some from me and that. But they're almost like pictures themselves of the way the bubbles fall. And you know, you can often see things inside them. I had one client who would have come in specifically, I haven't seen him in a while, but he comes in and asks to look at my glass. And so he'll take these paperweights and he'll turn it. He'll give it quarter turns all the way through. And then, you know, I'll be working in the back. So he takes an hour or two to do it. And they'll be like, Paul, come here. Do you see do you see that fish? There's a fish in there and stuff. So they're just beautiful objects that highlight glass, make things very fascinating. Early in my career, I worked with some lines, and the last sort of year and a half, I find myself going back to, you know, I love topographical maps. I've also been searching for just a little bit more to add to my pieces, you know, filling in those windows now. So over the last year, I've started going back to some cane working. Also, early in the days, you know, I wanted my pieces to be subtle and just highlight color. And now when I add the lines to them, I get these beautiful patterns that overlay each other, and they kind of make you feel a bit dizzy to look at, but they draw you in even more. And they've been working out really well. So, you know, I see more of that coming in the future of what I do and my pieces that I make. These are a couple commissioned pieces. Of course, the one on the left is the, I love commissions because it pushes me in a different direction. It makes me use the glass to my skill set that I have. Sometimes I have to learn how to make a hand or make something that looks nice. The piece on the right is an Avro Aero, which is a very popular jet that was commissioned in the 50s, and the whole design concept got abolished, and they actually ditched all the planes in Lake Ontario, and so there's a flying club here, and they commissioned me to make an award for a gentleman of an Avro Aero. So that's what that plane is. So me in the hot shop, you know, that's my office right there. And then of course the piece of the detail on the left shows you the diffusion and the magnification of you know, the glass components that overlap each other. Often, if you guys ever get any time, the windows make wicked screensavers for your phone. So I've been trying to get an app together so I can do screensavers. Different style piece, you know, just searching for the form and taking one of my pieces, and before I stretch it, you know, transferring it on a 45, and then trying to pull an end out and let the hot glass kind of you know, work its magic. Often people have wide niches for pieces. It's a little more popular now as opposed to tall. So these pieces do suit that niche, and they you know, they have their own little magic, and yeah, I love making them. They're tough to make. Okay, so this is an interesting slide. Back to sort of learning how to make pieces. The crisscross on the left took me some time to investigate, and I probably made about 30 or 40 of them before I could get it to that level. And sometimes with glass blowing, patience is everything, or all the time, and not even sometimes. So the piece on the left, because I love building other things, is an owl house I built at my old house. And it took 5 years to finally get an owl to live in it. So we named that owl Goldie. And yeah, you know, so patience is everything in life and time. And I even have it tattooed on my arm, you know. But yeah, it was so rewarding when I finally got an owl to live in that house I built him. So, and get those things. This piece is way off the normal. It's Time, Money, and On the Run. It was an art show that I was a part of where I got, they asked me to do something different. You know, I love sculpting glass, so I think I'm going to revisit these soon. You know, I get a kick out of looking at the bunnies running and money and time, and it kind of really applies itself more to today than ever. So, but I think I'm going to try to make them pretty large. These were probably about 15 inches, 12 to 15 inches tall once the bunnies were made and stuff. So, yeah. Working in black and whites, you know, I get off. I try to sometimes deviate from the norm. I love these pieces. You know, I worked in some powders for these. I still twisted the glass, and then I did my traditional shapes. And they made a really lovely grouping. So, you know, I hope to, I've had some commissions to make these pieces specifically as well from some people in the past. So maybe I'll get some more, or maybe I'll get back to making a couple taller versions of this is what I'd like to see next. So. In 2015, I got a piece that was given to the Queen of England. So that was quite the honor. Our Lieutenant Governor here commissioned me to make a piece for her through my main gallery in Toronto. she found me. And so I went online, and it's amazing what you can find on Google. So I found out that the Queen wears blue 87% of the time. She wears purple, 80% of the, like 80%. And then under that, it's a softer kind of white included with those. And she wears white, 60% of the time. So I used all those colors and I made a piece. And there's a cute little story where the Queen walked up to Elizabeth Dodwell and said, "Oh, what are you unwrapping there?" And Elizabeth said, "This is a piece from Paull Rodrigue, and this is what we're giving to you today." And so the Queen said, "Oh, that's lovely. I know exactly where I'm going to put that." So if you can imagine all the things the Queen of England's been given, it's a really nice accolade to know that, I got a piece of Windsor Castle. So, yeah. Just me working again in my office. And then the piece on the right, it's a bit large. It was about 7 feet tall on a lamp post. A project here in Hamilton called I Am an Artist. And there's about 30 of us. So 30 lampposts down our artistic district where we're labeled with different artists, and I was pretty honored to be part of that. So I went back a few times and stuff. But I went back another time to see it, and it was gone, and somebody had hit the lamppost and taken it down. So I never got to keep the poster, unfortunately. It went missing in action and that. But it's awesome to see yourself downtown on the street, high up on the street posts. So. This is a piece of migration. I've been doing this for a little while now. I kind of let people interpret them as migration explains it all. If you think they're fish, if you think they're birds, they apply themselves to a few different visions, I suppose. I love the shadows you can see on the right of the pieces when you cast the lights down on them and that. It kind of gives them a second feature. So I've done these in smaller groupings of 3 to 5. I've done them in groupings of 20 or more. And you can pair them together. So, it's crazy because I kind of stretch Armstrong the glass when I do them. I grab it from both ends, and then I kind of do I caught a fish this big thing. And then I sculpt them gently to give them their movement. Yeah. I do a lot of corporate work. Corporate work often pays the bills, and I'm okay. These pieces that I make lend themselves very well to those type of that type of work. Putting them on bases and. I've been working with the awards on the left now. I've been working with the car company Kia since 2011, and they've become the signature award, like the J.D. Power O'Hearn Awards and stuff like that. So we talked about, I suggested a redesign, and he was like, no, your glass is beautiful. And we want to keep giving that out for the years to come. And, the pieces on the right were for a doctor's conference. Often people don't want to just give a little plaque or something like that. They want to give art. So, I'm fortunate to get those type of jobs, and they often help pay the bills. So these are some more awards that I do. Architecturally, Builders Association. The colorful ones in the middle are Women in Film and Television. I've been making the Women in Film and Television in Canada awards for over 20 years now. They've certainly evolved. I get to draw the glass out and make the figures out of them. They're 2 parts that I join together, actually, because they do write the etching on them. The pieces on the right, though, are a lot of fun because in all my years of working in front of the public, I get asked, "Are you making a light bulb?" And that's, I finally got to make a glass light bulb. So they were for team development with the city of Hamilton and, you know, bright ideas and stuff. So what better idea than a light bulb? More of my forms and going back to the line work. The piece on the left is much older, probably 2009. And then in the last year and a half or two, I've made the other pieces because often people see old work and they want you to reproduce it in a new way. Or so the other two pieces there are commissions that I've been asked to make for them in the same idea and using the same lines. A couple different, just some different colors and another commission piece with some line work on the left. So I sometimes am guilty of sticking too much with the jewel tones because they're safe, or maybe I know them really well. But yeah, so the you know, yellow and green and purple and ruby was a strange one, but it looks pretty cool. Like, you know, now that I see it here, and the shape where it lended itself really well. You know, in 2016 we had my daughter, and she's everything to me and my wife. And lots of people ask, you know, I'm an artist, so I got a bit of personality. I think most artists do, maybe so even strong. So, you know, on the left, she's walking in like a boss. In the center, she's helping me blow glass in the shop, and I'm teaching her slowly. And then on the right is just her being her cute little self. So, in 2018, I was invited to the Duncan McClellan Gallery. Thank you, Duncan and Mary and Danielle and everybody. What a fantastic opportunity. So I you know, went down there, and I was a part of the show with Naoko and Stefan Paull, and I got to meet everybody, and I can't wait to go back. That's why I'm excited to do this. You know, too bad COVID is around, but you know, when that phone rings, I'll be ready to come back down there. But yeah, this various things. These are some pieces that were in that exhibition. Monochromatics. Sometimes I do some of those where I just work with one color, but try to vary it in several ways. And these worked out awesome. I love the blues like that, and being close to the ocean. Same idea, but this is a color concept that Shiva series that I've done for a long time. You know, but I still try to reinvent them and stuff. So yeah. And this, leading up to DMG, this piece took me about 3 days to make. And I believe there's 7 different Encalmo pieces that in this one that I Encalmo pieces, switched the axis, and put them away, Encalmoed other ones and switched them. So it took me the better part of 2.5 to 3 days to finally complete it. It's a little bit more wild than some of the ones that are behind me, but the results were, I love the results. I still have that, you know, posters of that in my shop, and I aspire for more pieces like that. So I do a lot of teaching. One thing that's very important for me when I do teach is that I sell the experience. I think the people that come to your hot shop aren't just interested in making, well, they want to make glass, but they want the experience. So this is a page out of the Duncan McClellan Gallery. We did a sandblasting workshop with a bunch of ladies and one guy. And they also all got to make a paperweight. So, you know, when they leave, there's applause and high fives. And if I don't get that when I teach a class, I didn't do a good job. So I'm very proud on how my teaching experience are. You know, a couple more. The top left picture there is my first COVID class. So we all have masks on and stuff. That was a little challenging. We had to do air high fives. So he, yeah, you know, but the group on the bottom was a Christmas party, and then the ones on the right is a grade 10, maybe grade 10 or 11, I can't remember, but they're from an art school down the road here. And they come in once a year, and we all make paperweights for there's usually about 20 kids that we all give the glass experience to. So a lot of my forms, sometimes I open them up. These are more commissions because I sometimes get, I'm guilty of just making tall pieces and wide pieces sometimes, but people love my pieces as for center pieces as well. So these are just a couple different versions of them. They're more Mobius-like. I love this piece. I wish I had, sometimes or often I wish I could get pieces back just so I can have them longer. You know, I tend to make a piece of glass and within a week or two it's gone. But I know that the client here pretty well, and I know that she's proud of that piece and talks about it still. So you know, and that's what I aspire when I sell my work, that people 10 years, 15 years later, you're still really proud to own that piece of glass. This is some wild opaque colors again. Reminds me of a deck of cards or something. So you know, I had to capture that. It shows you equally in opaques how wild the colors and the twists can be. So I love that piece as well, yeah. We get a little wild in the hot shop, you know. I was asked to make a mold of a cylinder piece for a friend. She didn't have access to a hot shop, and the piece was extremely large, which I'm pretty good at making large pieces, you know, so I loved that. It was still a tough project, and, you know, but the picture speaks for itself. It's a lot of fun when you do that, even when you smoke the show. I don't get too many holidays because I do all the jobs here, everyone, you know. But when I do go on holidays, I love to go camping, and there are my girls, Jennifer and Brooklyn, and you know, we do what we can, and we make sure love and laughter is part of our daily life. So. These are a couple different projects. The top one is a tortoise that I did, or it insinuates a tortoise. And it's a mosaic. It's an old type of glass that I crushed up. I put it in one of my blown pieces that didn't work out, and I filled it with cement. And then I broke the piece of glass off of it. So I had those shapes. And then I took them to the polishing wheel or the belt sanders, and I made this tortoise-like insinuation. So I love that piece. The bottom on the driftwood, that's a popular type of glass blowing that's being done all over the place. So I try not to turn down commissions if it's something that a few people have done or you see it around. And then the piece on the right is one of these larger collages that's all different cane poles that I stretched really long, and then we'd run in and twist it all up. And then I'd break it up and put it into a kiln. I'd love to do more of those, but it's hard to, you know, I have this repertoire of art that I'm not sure I'll ever get back to, or sometimes you need commissions or excuses. A hot shop's really costly, so if I won the lottery, I'd probably have about 10 different bodies of work that I could just work on. But yeah, you know, so this was for an exhibition in 2017. I'd made 3 of those as a grouping, and they were still pretty wild. They were away from the wall, so again, like the migration pieces, the shadows at night from the lighting in the room would really cast on the wall, and very big with the shadows, shadow play, if you can say that. So, and here, these are kind of smaller versions of those pieces. These are donations that I do to an art school here in town, and they're small. They're just 10 by 10. But again, they show the beauty of glass is not like you know, I make these sculptures and I put everything in it, but, you know, it also, this highlights that all those odds and ends that find the floor that often get thrown out, you can still make beautiful art with. So, of course, my daughter again, she's rolling the glass, and yeah, you know, inspiration of my life. So, DMG shirt. She chose to wear that. I didn't put that shirt on her for a while. She liked to wear my t-shirts to daycare and every day, and she loved that shirt. So
She has good taste.
yes, she does. These are some newer pieces. The cross hatchings on the left are a piece that's sitting behind me. I'll be happy to talk about when we get to that. The piece on the right was a table commission piece. She wanted something like my Mobius's, but she wanted it more wild. And she liked the line work. So, you know, this one's awesome. I think I named this one like a portal. And you can see how all the lines go in, and the dark lines of the cane, which is great. So I started using Duro, which is a very dense, thick black cane. Lino uses it a lot. Nancy Callan uses it in a lot of her pieces. I never used it before until recently, and it's really amazing how thin I can draw those lines out. You know, so yeah. These are both memorial pieces. The one they both have remains in it of a gentleman. They were family, and it just sort of shows, I often go the distance beyond making just paperweights with remains, and offer something a little bit more. So the gentleman on the left, that was his wife, and together he always spoke of the waves, the water. Down in Florida, they would go all the time. And so she wanted something like a wave made. The one on the right is his daughter, and together they gardened a lot. So she wanted something that highlighted the garden colors, and you know, so we took the yellow from flowers and the green from the grass, and she liked the forms, so I made those for them, and they are both very well received. I'm happy to do those. These are a couple more memorials. The piece on the left is a couple that I joined them back together again. So their daughter came to me with both remains and said, I'd love my parents to be put together in a piece. So I created that for them. And then the skateboard is unfortunately a young 19-year-old man who had committed suicide, and his mom wanted a memorial that was more geared towards him, as you know, he skateboarded a lot. He loved graffiti and stuff. So I made that. And then the one on the right is a Bernese mountain dog. So if anybody knows that their dogs, those are the colors of a Bernese mountain dog, and she wanted something to represent Marley, and I made that. So yeah. These are just a couple pieces. The piece on the right with the bubbles became a light. You know, so that, then the pieces on the left, I'm doing these paperweights with massive bubbles in them, and they really highlight the wisps and the lines and magnify stuff. So they're pretty cool. They were for a hospice care, for donor gifts that I had made those ones for. So yeah. This project is awesome. Next year in 2021, I'll be making roughly 8,000 of those beads. And you can see the bottom tableaus here. They're going to be 40 feet high. There's 5 individual ones, and they'll be down on the waterfront here in Hamilton. So I will be part of a permanent installation in the city of Hamilton that will be up for many years. They're all Indigenous teachings and learning, so there's going to be a storybook to follow them. And maybe if any of you come to the city of Hamilton at the end of 2021, you might be able to go downtown and see these structures up in the air. So looking forward to that project. I love to cook. And you know, the pieces on the right, or remind me of the garden, and the greens sort of match together. So they're literacy awards that I do. I try to create individual pieces for clients when I can. So those are for the Literacy Council, and you know, the green bubbles are kind of growing from the purple there. So yeah, again, my family over here, variety of them, Jennifer in Brooklyn, and the top picture with me in a suit you don't get to see too often, but I donate to a lot of charities here. You know, Children's Aid Society, I do that. I do a lot of hospice care, the art galleries in town. When I was at Duncan McClellan, I left all my work down there to be donated to the DMG project. So hopefully that worked out for them. And I'm very fortunate to work with glass for a living. So, yeah, you know, it's kind of like a gifted medium. Not everybody gets to do it. So I do what I can with what I can. And, yeah, you know, I don't make money blowing glass, but I get to blow glass. So, this is a piece at a church in Hamilton. The church was built in 1835. It's the second oldest church. And I was asked by the good Father Tony there to make a sculpture, a vision of his dreams. And what this piece is it's the spirit of St. Patrick rising out of the flames with the parishioners as the flames, and the spirit is holding a tiny little shamrock in his hands. So the idea of the parishioners were that they would go out to the public, so some are turned in and some are turned out, and you know, together they would bring the people back to St. Patrick to learn about the teachings of God and you know, celebrate God. Yeah. So it's all gold leaf from the bottom. Oh no, you can go back, Danielle. That's great. So this is really cool. I got the opportunity, my friends had the opportunity to make me a customized pair of my very own Vans. I've been wearing Vans since I was about 10 years old. I raced BMX bikes as a kid and skateboarded and all that. So to get a pair of my very own slip-ons was pretty awesome. There's a contest in the US that I might try to enter where you can get a whole fleet of your own shoes made and from your design. So we'll see. Maybe I'll win that. Some more, these are recent pieces with the line work in it. Sometimes I put the lines on the outside, sometimes it's on the inside, but I love the results that I'm getting. So as mentioned, I'm probably going to keep pursuing that for a while, you know. Yep. Corporate, and then the twist on the piece on the left is, it has a really strong twist to it, so I love how that worked. And then again, the subtleties on the right, that's just a casted piece of glass that I polish up for the city and put on an aluminum base. But every one is wild and different. It still kind of holds that signature of the overlapping colors that I like to do, the scribbles of light and lines and such. Well, person on the left, my main assistant, Rob. Yeah. So Rob Rayside. You can find him on Instagram and stuff. One of my best assistants I've ever found. Most of my assistants, as maybe I mentioned, they come to me for 2 or 3 years and then they go off to do their own glass. In Canada, people are very, I don't want to say selfish, but they want their own careers. So it's harder to put together a big group studio that stays together for many, many years and work as teams. And I used to be that kid, and then now I find myself as the mentor. So I do my best to kind of work with that and fuel them, knowing that one day they'll go out and pursue their own glass, maybe get their own hot shop and stuff. So on the right is my mom and dad helping out. I wouldn't be here without them. You know, they're my best clients, supporters. Yeah, you know, and they go the extra distance, like the photo, mopping the walls, because it's easier to use the mop instead of wiping down. Glass studios get really dusty, so. The piece on the left, I taught a class earlier before COVID, and one of my clients, he's a lawyer, he brought this piece in that he had bought from me many years ago. And for the life of me, I can't remember how I did those lines. So I took many pictures of it, and the cane work in it, there's like 2 times or 3 times overlapping. And then so I'm hoping one day I'll recreate it because it looks pretty cool. And then the piece on the right, that's in opaques, so which again is very different. I've started working in opaques. It's very sensitive for me because I'm kind of picky. This was also the lines are pretty thick on this piece, which have a different type of effect that I really like, and the way they swirl together. There's 5 different joins of the encalmo in there, 3 of them having lines, so pretty technical piece. Okay, so these are pieces I just made in the last 2 weeks. One on the left is 5 colors joined together, 5 ensembles joined together, 4 different colors. I'm going back to punnying my pieces up, meaning transferring them over so I can stretch the tops out again. Sometimes to go forwards, you got to go backwards a little bit. So I'm really enjoying that process again. My pieces take a long time to make. So I wonder if sometimes that by just stretching the tip out and not punning them, I sacrifice stuff by, anyways, yeah. So the piece on the right, you can see the top is carved there. So that's a little bit different process as well. So you switch to this is a lighting project I did right after our shutdown or lockdown of COVID. 50 of these lighting globes for a lighting company here out of Toronto. I think these were going to New Jersey. It was I don't do too much lighting, but it was a new project, so I like the challenges, and went really well. The pieces were beautiful. It was all in smoked glass, they call it. Lots of grays. Of course, this is a Ballatini pickup, they call that. I wish the piece would have worked out, but that's probably the nicest part of the piece. I still do have failures, but it doesn't necessarily mean a failure is smashing on the ground. It could mean the colors just didn't work, and that's sort of what happened with that one. So that's all I have left of that piece. And then the one on the right is, our pieces are journeys, and the bench is often at the end of a piece, it describes your journey a little bit. So, yeah. These are a couple pieces that are available here today, and quite a tall piece, that I think is 31 or 32 inches, that one, and then a newer wing on the right. I love making platters. It's quite a fun process. So these are some platters that I put on some stands. They're tall stands, but they can be adjusted. As I mentioned, my neighbor is a fabricator welder. I do some of that myself, but he's the pro at it. So I always get to do the pros to do the good jobs, And the piece on the right is the centerpiece that the woman asked me for, something wild that was unpredictable. And then the one on the left is a piece that I have in here today. So. This piece, I often sometimes just like a nice subtle pull on the tip. The color is very vibrant and rich in this piece, so it likes daylight. And both of the wonderful thing about my artwork, and the reason why there's 2 here, is there's a front side and there's a back side when I make them. So. So when you buy my works and bring them home, every now and then you can spin them and give them a 180. You don't always have to look at the same face of them and that. So this is just a nice tall blue piece. It's a little more subtle in the colors. You know, I don't always go for the richness of, they're still pretty rich actually, but you know, sometimes I go with that less is more and the insinuating lines. I didn't twist as much, but I did try to pull the tip in there. This is a very rich piece. So the way the blue magnifies through the purple there, I'm quite happy with. Now this piece is one of my, you know, Duncan, you mentioned like, you know, artists have so many pieces in their bag of tricks. This is definitely up there with my piece that I made for the Duncan McClellan in 2018. It's significant because I did punny it up. And the line, you know, subtleties, but the richness of the colors is very stunning. You know, if somebody was to buy this, they have to keep in touch with me and send me pictures every now and then. So again, here we puttied this one up, and the richness of the lines that are overlapping. That's, you know, I love that. The S that happens in there is insinuating S is pretty cool. And there's the line kind of works its way through from different sides, and when I twist them, there's two different types of cane pickups or swirlings. There's a couple thread trails in this one. So
We can't wait to get these in the gallery, Paul.
yes, me. So yeah, me as well. I can't wait to do that. So this one I got to finish the lip just a little bit more, but this one I made before the other one. I recently had a new color epiphany that I've used ruby all these years, and I found fuchsia, and then I've always used aquas and copper blues and stuff like that, but somebody gave me some teal. And now I'm using teal and fuchsia versus ruby and aqua. And I love how it's vibrant, punchy. The gold is a gold topaz.
Wow.
So this piece, you know, I'll probably cry when I send it to the gallery. You know, I tend to give most of my pieces a good hug and hope that it comes back to me. We saw this piece a little bit earlier in one of the slides, so I have that here as well. I wanted to have that in my presentation today. It's a kind of an iconic piece, being opaque like that. You know, I don't make many of them, so, but it's still my style. If you see it and you know, you would know that Paull Rodrigue made that. So it's very rare. Yeah, that one is as well. So this one I think was the culmination. Oh no, that's okay. You can go back to the other one. So this piece I just made yesterday. Wow. To get these photos, I had to put gloves on because the piece was too hot to hold without it. Run to my gallery, take some shots, and then bring it back and put it back in the kiln. So it was quite exciting. We made that yesterday. It's not a gargantuan one of my pieces, so this one might fit a few more collections, unless you have like really larger pieces. But I loved making it. There's a couple little subtleties that until you see it up close, you know, each piece I make takes so long that it's a journey when we make them. You know, that piece took the better part of a whole day to make all the components, cane work, assemble them and such, and the end result. So when we see them, me and my assistant Rob, we kind of go through the piece and really pick out the highlights and what happened here. how do you think we got that? And stuff. So, yeah, you know, we kind of mentally document them and oh yeah, this is what happened here. Look at that and stuff. So
That's a real gem. That's gorgeous.
these are a little bit smaller pieces. So, yeah, you know, working in the monochromes again and just using some bubbles. You know, the glass, using some molds. Yeah. Go ahead, Danielle. This is one of the larger platters. I think that was 25 inches. So that was a lot of fun to make. I do have some photos of that, making that one as well. And then I think there's one more. Yeah. So that's another platter. And again, these stands, you can see they're on the larger stands, but if I ship them down to Duncan, I'll probably put them on shorter stands. You know, unless somebody requested one of the bigger stands, which is great. But I think, you know, before I move these down there, if we'll put them on some shorter stands. So they're a little more table friendly, more placement oriented in your collections and in your house. So yeah, these are some of the migration pieces. Yeah, you know, I'm always happy to move what I've made, and I use my color patterns that I do, but I also can cater these to people's decor, matching to your paintings,
Now,
and stuff like that. And we can also custom make you specific quantities, or if you have a large wall you want to cover, we can group them together and stuff. So
Paul, we had a previous question about your wall pieces, wondering how heavy they were, both these
I lost.
and the green ones also.
Hold on.
Oh, that may be me.
Can you ask me that one more time, Mary?
Sure. How heavy are your wall pieces, both these and the green ones?
They're not that heavy. They're more slender and narrow. And I use a pretty bionic glue that they'll never come apart. Like they would have to be hit for something, you know, to break them type of thing. They don't come apart. I would almost guarantee the piece at the glue joint. If that ever came apart, I would do, you know, 100% sort of remake, or because then it would be faulty or my error type of thing. So yeah. There's just a couple more different colors and a little bit of forms and stuff. So they also go really nice vertically.
Yes.
As well. Hey, look at that. That's awesome.
So we have a few photos that people have sent us about showing your work in their homes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that piece was sold before the exhibition. This one here was during the exhibition, but that looks awesome. I love being in other people's collections. It's quite an honor to do that. I'm very proud of anybody, and I'm very grateful for anybody who appreciates my glass, brings it into their collections, and I share common space with other magnificent glass artists. It's always, I'm blown away by it. You know, I'm fortunate to make these pieces, and I'm grateful for the people and the clients. You know, yeah, and that was a COVID session with my daughter out front. You know, so yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you so much, Paul. That was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope everybody was entertained anyway. So
Absolutely. We think your colors and your personality belong down in Florida. I mean, all that brilliance, you know, reflects the light, but it, you know, it brightens your day up there too.
yes, well, you know, I love the jewel tones, and I'm not done with these. Like I still hunger for more. Like I said, I've got a body of work to do for the rest of my lifetime with these. want to branch out, but I can't abandon what I've done. So the line work is part of them. I've slumped these down into pieces and made big boat forms out of them. So they're very rich, and the people that bring them into their homes, my feedback that I've gotten is they're vibrant and they're objects of light, and clients, are still happy today that they made that purchase. So to me, that's the woman that sent you that piece in 2018, I think, was at our opening. And she told me that it was her favorite piece of all her glass pieces, and things like that make me cry. Yeah,
And
So,
one of our viewers is also weighing in, and she says she loved your presentation, and she has one of your monochromatic blue pieces, and
awesome.
so much every day.
Awesome.
So.
Well, I love that, and thank you very much for that. Like I said, everything sort of goes back into the studio here. Duncan knows very well that a glass studio is not a cheap business to run, and it all goes back into the studio to make more. So I'm very grateful for those people who bring my pieces into their collections and stuff. So yeah, that's awesome.
Well, we're so grateful that you spent the time to get this presentation together, and then spent the time to be with us today. And thank you, everyone who participated today. And really happy to have you all with us.
Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful to see everybody, and I'm doing this off of my phone, so I'm sorry for the hiccup at the beginning, but I'm so thankful that I was able to pull it off. And I would love to do this again, even to catch up and
And we'll see you down in Florida as soon as possible.
I would love that. I'd be excited to come down and bring some work with me and meet everybody in person. That's as a maker of the objects, it's important for me. Like, I love meeting the people who buy my pieces and take them into their home. It's my reward. It means I did a good job. I tried physically to make beautiful glass. Doesn't always work out. So when I make those hit those landmark pieces, or when somebody falls in love with one of my pieces, I can't explain the reward. It's wonderful. It's a joy that brings me back to work every day. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a beautiful sentiment to end our session on.
Awesome.
And, thanks to everyone. And Paul, what a joy. Thank you very much. Hopefully, everybody will hang in, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Stay safe, everybody down there.
Thank
you. Take care. And
All
that's
right.
awesome.